Hey guys, Joe here, welcome to another Dragon Ball FighterZ video, and welcome back to my patch 1.40/1.41/1.42 review. And today, we're going to be taking a look at Android 16, so without further ado, let's see what the big guy's got. First up is 16's auto combo, which, for those of you who don't know, the last hit is a command grab. And as of patch 1.38, you can now hold forward and initiate the command grab portion of the move, which is awesome. But last patch it was relatively slow, but now if you do it, it's 24 frames within the realms of a genuinely strong command grab. So now 16 has yet another command grab at his disposal through his auto combo, which is pretty nice, I'd say, especially considering the character is a grappler. I think giving him yet another command grab option is really good, and one that could potentially be tick thrown as well, which is always nice. The next two changes for 5H and JH I'm going to talk about together because they're pretty much the same change. That being a faster startup. So 5H now has a 12 frame startup, and JH also has a 12 frame startup. Now, of course, I could talk about block strings all day. And the fact that this is now able to true string is really good, but as you've also noticed, you're left relatively gapless, especially considering that's the range of 16's 5L, which is really nice. But in addition to that, right? You're safe on block, and you're within range to start again, which is extremely good. But of course, that's not the only thing, right? Because now, also, in combos where moves like that would normally, like this, especially would normally drop, you now have a much easier time converting, which is awesome, especially after longer combos. I'll see if I could try and show you an example. So just to give you an example, now in a longer combo like that, you can now more easily connect a JH, which is just fantastic, and it's going to do a lot of favors for Android 16's combo routing. So this is a really nice change overall, not just for JH, but also for 5H. So really good. The next two moves to get changed are 5S and JS, which I'm going to clump together into one as well because both got very similar changes since they're very similar moves. The first change I want to talk about is to the clash level of the projectile, which is this. So now, right, if you go up against Z Broly with his fucking monstrous projectiles, this is what happens. You now clash with that shit. You heard me right. Android 16's 5S and JS are now level 2 Ki Blasts. Which is just fucking insane. But that's not the only thing, because JS and 5S now also have better tracking. Check this out. So now, let me just stop that. Now, rather than going in a straight line, or going in a pinpoint direction, the projectiles now track. So not only are they level 2 projectiles now, but they are also capable of tracking the opponent much better. It is limited, even just a little bit, but it's still a massive improvement to these moves. In more ways than you think. So, honestly, this is going to do a lot for Android 16. I'm very happy with these changes. The next change to talk about is with 16's medium command grab, Dynamite Driver, aka the 236 command grab, which now does this. It travels full screen. So, let me put this into perspective for you. You have EX command grab that can go full screen. And now, the medium command grab can also go full screen. And for the record, both of these moves are projectile invul. So, yeah. Now you have both of these as an option. Which just makes Android 16's presence a lot more threatening. So, if he's full screen and he's zoning you with his 5S, which for the record is now majorly improved, and then you just decide to throw out another projectile, he will just be able to do this. And he will fuck you up. So, this is a really crazy change, but overall a really good one. Next we have Hell's Flash, which now has greater range and stun time. As you can see, the range on the move is now majorly improved. But in addition to that, the stun time is also very much improved, which means you can DHC out of this much easier. You're not going to be able to do, you know, crazy shit like with Piccolo's Makan Kosopo or Special Beam Cannon, you know, where you can charge it, right? You're not going to be able to do anything like that, like you can with, let's say, Roshi's level 2 or Baby's level 1. Nothing like that, but it'll let you DHC easier, which is really, really nice. The last three changes for Android 16 are to all three of his assists, so let's cover them one by one, starting with A assist, which got a faster startup and increased hit stop on guard, which looks like this. 20 frame startup. That's pretty good for any assist, but in addition to that, it now has a very respectable 30 frames on block, which means using this assist as a option in block strings is going to be much, much better. So it actually has some form of utility now as a strong block string assist, which is really, really good. However, that isn't going to change the fact that B assist is still going to be the better of the three assists, especially considering the changes to 5S and JS were applied to the B assist. And yes, that is not a joke. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, not only is the projectile level 2 now similar to 5S and JS for B assist, but the tracking is also the exact same as the 5S and JS, which is absolutely insane. So 16B assist, which is already a phenomenal assist, is now even better and even more potent. So if you're a zoner, by any chance, this assist is going to be your new best friend, potentially. I don't know, we'll have to see. But I have a feeling that certain zoners are going to benefit greatly from an assist like this. The last change for Android 16 is to his C assist, which was granted invincibility in patch 1.38 to physical attacks, and now that invincibility starts up faster. So, I guess that's going to grant the assist some nice utility, so overall pretty good. And with that, we have covered all of the changes for Android 16 this patch, and by God, this character got some really, really nice changes. I'm very happy with the changes this character received. I think they're going to do a lot of good for him. However, I think you all understand the pattern at this point. Just because the character got some really good changes doesn't mean the work is done yet. And thus comes the part of the video where I, of course, talk about what changes I personally would make to the character. Speaking of which, so now we've come to the last part of the video where I discuss all the changes I personally would make to the character. So let's just jump right into it, starting with the aerial version of his 236 series, starting with his light command grab, which has pitiful range, and I think the range on that should be increased to go a little further than it currently does. Then there's the medium command grab, which definitely has better range but could use a much better startup. So that is definitely something I would like to see, is a faster startup for that command grab. And as for the EX version, it's fine. Nothing to say there. It's got fantastic range and fantastic startup. Not much more to say. Now, as for the 214 series of command grabs, both the grounded and aerial versions, the biggest thing I would like to see with each version is improvements on the sliding knockdown for the medium and heavy version, and the addition of a sliding knockdown for the light version, because as you can currently see, no sliding knockdown. And for a grappler like 16, I think having a sliding knockdown even on the light command grab should be a viable option, both on the ground and midair. Right? It should be a viable option for a sliding knockdown. Especially since there's not really a problem with the 214M and 214H versions, right? As speaking of those, they have solid sliding knockdowns, but I definitely think those sliding knockdowns could be a bit stronger and a little bit longer. And I think they should be increased from what they currently are, 57 frames, or rather 37 frames in which the opponent is in hit stun plus 20 in recovery, to 50 frames of hit stun plus another 20 in recovery, equaling out to 70 frames of hit stun. And that goes for the EX version too, right? So I think giving longer sliding knockdowns to those moves would be really good, which would allow 16 to take better advantage of this, as well as this. Speaking of which, let's talk about both of these moves, because there's quite a bit to talk about here. These are supposed to be, as far as I could tell in regards to 16's combo routing, these are supposed to be his OTG options, and to be quite honest, they're not exactly that good as OTG options, and for a couple of reasons. The first of which being their startup is just a bit too sluggish, and the second being, if you couldn't already tell, multi-hitting moves. They're multi-hitting moves rather than a single hit, like Cooler's Death Crasher or Death Shaker, whatever it is. And the same goes for the 214S. So the 236S, as you just saw, has 4 hits. The 214S, on the other hand, 8 hits. And the last thing you'll probably notice is an immense lack of hit stun. Like seriously, watch this. Not a lot of hit stun. 30 frames total. So remember what I told you about there being 20 frames of recovery? Yeah, that means there's 10 total frames in which the opponent is in actual hit stun. And that's just the 214S version. That's the 236 version. That's fucking horrendous. That is actually horrendous. So, here's what I would change about the 236S and 214S. The first of which being making hitting opponents in a sliding knockdown more consistent. The second is to increase the hit stun. Instead of it being, you know, barely any frames on 236S and only 10 frames on 214S, and by frames of hit stun I mean frames in which the opponent is actually in hit stun. For both moves, they should be increased to 50 frames of hit stun, rather than the 10 and 1 that each are. And last but not least, both moves should be reduced to only having one hit, instead of the 4 for 236S and 8 for 214S. Instead of being multi-hits, they should just be a single hit. Which I think would make them marginally better as combo tools. And in addition to that, I have no problems with it on block. I have no problems with it on block. But I do also want to bring up the startup again, because that's something I think that having a faster startup for these moves could benefit. So, in regards to 236S, I think it should be sped up from 18 frames to 15 frames, and 214S should be sped up from 24 frames to 20 frames. This way, you can more effectively use these in neutral as well as in combo games and extend combos more effectively. And the last change I would like to see is to A assist, which, you guessed it, is Hell Heat. Sorry. Hell Heat. Which doesn't have the worst hit stun, but I definitely think the hit stun should be greater than it currently is. It's currently 25 frames, so I think it should be increased to 50 frames to match up with the other two. I think this would ultimately make the assist much more viable and equal to that of B assist and C assist. And with that, those are all the changes I would give to Android 16. Those are the changes I would give him, and I genuinely, personally believe that if Android 16 got those changes, he would be pretty much perfect, and he wouldn't need to be changed any further, in my honest opinion. But again, that's all that is, just an opinion. The same as every single video I've done before this. Anytime I bring up changes I personally would make to a character, they are personal changes. They are based on my own opinion of what the character could use, in my opinion. And even then, in cases like Ginyu, I was not only, trying to find changes that were, good for the character, but sorry. Not only was I trying to find changes that made the character more balanced, but I was also trying to make changes that, through bias, would make the character more fun. But that's really only in the case of Ginyu. I didn't really do it for anybody else. I don't know what to tell you. But regardless, that doesn't matter. Point is, these are the changes I would give to 16. Better range on here. Better startup on here. better sliding knockdown on here and here. A genuine sliding knockdown on here. And this goes for the air versions as well. Giving this and this significant improvements to their consistency in hitting an opponent in a sliding knockdown, as well as increasing their hit stun and making them single hit moves, and then giving A assist the same amount of hit stun. But that's it. That's all I would do for Android 16, and with all said and done, that brings us to the end of the video. So next time we're going to be talking about Yamcha, and I'm actually really excited to start talking about Yamcha's changes because he got some really nice changes. But that's for next video. So until then, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Until we meet again, don't do anything stupid and take good care of yourselves. The Ginyu combo guide is gonna be coming soon. I don't know how soon. I don't know if I'm gonna do it within the middle of this patch review series or if I'm gonna do it afterwards. I'll figure that out eventually, and I'll let you guys know. But it is going to happen. I'm keeping to my word on that. Don't you worry. But that's pretty much all I've got to say. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye.